And let's start with Smart Cities and Raj, your group. Who's going to summarize and what's your action?
Yeah, so quickly, we want to make water data more public and anonymously share that data. So that way, you're looking at people within your community, how much they're consuming, and then you can compare it to how you're consuming. So you can, basically adjust to what you're doing. We're looking at conservation strategies for larger consumers. So pursuing ESG goals, and somebody brought up ISO 14001. Which goes into chemical usage within an organization. The other thing is doing a better job of broadcasting technology. So there's a lot of great information that is learned through utilities, but unfortunately, a lot of that is kept internally. They're afraid to share things externally, right? So being able to share with others, because others may not have the opportunity or the time to put in all of the legwork that's already been done by others. So sharing that information externally is going to help move the needle. Chris brought up cloud and data standards, right? So once you develop cloud and data standards, then you have the smaller utilities who don't have the personnel or the capacity to take on these types of challenges. It gives them something to work off of. So it helps them, move in the right direction much quicker. And then last but not least, it's who are we inspiring? And it's leading by example. So we talked about being able to bring the youth into water because looking around the water industry, there's a huge age gap, and the youth are the ones who have access to the technology, who are thinking, how to use cloud and data to come up with something that we can produce. Like, for example, figuring out how much it costs per million gallons, or whatever your output was. So essentially, getting down to the finite number of how much is the water costing a utility. So these are the things that we've discussed and the action items going forward. But to be frank, I think as long as we're able to mentor one person, whether it's a neighbor, a student, or looking at other organizations, this is how we're going to be able to move the needle into the future.
One at a time. Very, very good, Juan. Great discussion. I've got you down here. And of course, I took a picture of your slide. So digital utilities, Gigi and Melissa were running that group. Who's summarizing the?
I think I will summarize. I was trying to facilitate, so I didn't take the best notes. I apologize for that. But a lot of our discussion was really around digital technologies and the interface to human beings. How some people regard it as sort of a threat and are uncomfortable with having, their meters around their house and information about their usage. But at the same time, we in the digital world, in the water sector, we need to have a better conversation between the people and the use of the technology and how that technology is going to ultimately benefit the people. And I think that part of the conversation we need to do a better job at, and each one of us feel like that's something that we're going to work on, is understanding the benefits to the individuals for deploying some of these digital technologies. We talked about meters and the security aspect of them and how we need to anonymize the information, but then sharing that information across with other utilities and the benefit that will bring. Just like in the health environment or the health sector, we do a lot of research on cancer patients, diabetes patients, and that helps every individual that has cancer and has diabetes because they're sharing information across these individuals around the world. And we need to do a better job of that in the water space. Trudi, anyone else? Did I miss anything from our conversation, Mohammed?
I think, you had most of it, all of it, actually. I want to add, the fact that, just we have also, come up with a recommendation on how to just basically incentivize, people, like, raising, the water as a national security, that's, so that people, would be responsible, just as contributing to that national objective, because the fact that, water in many countries is, the tariff is low, and also some of the people, in some area there was scarcity of water, but in a technology alone is not sufficient, but you have to just basically raise that to that level so that there will be responsibility at the individual level to contribute to the national level, practically with the threat of climate change and all that. So that's
very good. So communications, once again, bringing in people outside of our water circle was mentioned. Let's move on to off-grid villages and NGO. Shannon and Swampy, I think we're leading that.
Yeah, and actually Swampy will be the one reporting out for our groups, so I will hand it over to him.
Always exciting to hear from Swampy.
Oh, so great to be with you all. But we had a really awesome discussion talking about natural waters, how it starts off between marine systems and estuaries, lakes, etc., and the importance of wetlands as far as protecting how wetlands function to clean our waters and how they're endangered, whether we're marine systems like mangroves, the Amazon rainforest, and the importance for saving those wetlands instead of having those developed and farmed, if you will. We moved from there. We had some great folks talking about engineering, okay? And we had Julie talking about, which I found really interesting, microtectronics. And we talked about technology and the importance of incorporating that and then learning and sharing that. And this was again, the great group was the different angles. The other thing we talked about was education and the importance of education and at the elementary level and bringing kids up. I think we'd like to see, again, water on the same platform as climate because it's so important. And it takes scientists. Okay, how do we measure that? And where are the organizations? And then it takes academia, okay? Who's doing the research, okay, to hear on each of the discussions, okay, what's what with respect to bias and precision. And then we also had Charles is doing a great thing with filters, placing those out there. He's got something, I encourage you to look it up. It's called Suki 222. And we chat on Clubhouse. The main thing is giving folks water and shelter and food. And so we had discussions on those. Then we had some discussions, again, getting back to the main topic about villages and nonprofits and how do we work together in order to do that somewhat in a decentralized state. But where are the processes in each of the continents to find out the best way to do that? We've got a large group, a large network of water. It would be nice if we could function and structure that to some degree, more so that we have more say in the matters as far as protecting our waters. Again, we've got a planet with 70% with water, but only like 1% fresh water. And a lot of it's tied up in our glaciers. So I wanted to also encourage you, Earth Day's coming up, and join me. I'll be on Clubhouse on that day. Look forward to talking to Mary about summarizing what we're doing here. But Natural Geographics is going to be going to the Amazon River on Earth Day. And typically when I do that, they'll say something and we'll get on Twitter and we'll tweet about that. So we encourage schools to do that, to make those types of things that we only hear about come alive, and again, pique their curiosity so that they can have careers in the future on that. And
so
what
was your short sentence action out of the group? Short sentence action out of the group.
Okay, short sentence is to take information and make it active throughout all the different disciplines of water management.
Restored Lakes, Stephanie and Dave Shackleton, who's
Great,
doing
thank
the
you so much.
summary?
Dave is going to report out for us. Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm aware that we're very short of time. There was an interesting dichotomy, I thought. So Usha started off stressing the fact that there's plenty of water. What we need is better management. And there are success stories out there, and we need more awareness and action to engage people to start participating. Paula spoke about something that fascinated me. I'd like to learn more about. A farmer who had shown that his soil absorption capacity had increased by 400%, I think she said, which meant reduced runoff and improved operational efficiency for his farm. Now, those are kind of small focused specific initiatives. Victor made the point, and I think this is the sort of dichotomy that we all struggle with, that we need actionable plans and initiatives that are broad, comprehensive, and systemic, rather than too many narrowly focused, either focused locally on personal issues or personal commercial agendas or whatever. And what we really need to do is find a way to get some synergy and harmony between the groups and their different initiatives and have some sort of structure and focus so that you get impact. And that's often what's lacking. Wambui spoke about a project in Nairobi where somebody had used social media and high profile awareness and so on. And out of that was getting engagement, not only from the community, but the business sector as well. So I think at the end of the day, we didn't talk about lakes specifically at all, but it sounds like we were on a similar track to some of the other people saying, what we need is actions. And my input to it was what I'm seeing is communities increasingly holding politicians, government agencies, utilities, municipalities, corporates responsible. And what they're looking to do is engage more and more, which was a big theme from everyone. And that engagement process is getting people to understand the significance and the scale of the problems, getting awareness around the fact that there are success stories and solutions that people need to engage with at whatever scale, educating people. And the point was made that education and engagement, a lot of that these days is dependent on good use of social media. And Global Waterworks clearly has a very strong role to play in putting all that together. Stephanie, I don't know if I missed anything. You want to add anything?
Good comprehensive one.
Thank you. I think that's great. I would just add that we also talked about how we can better use technology to try and build capacity around edutainment and gaming, and use some of those influencers to help influence our next generation, and also thinking about how we can enhance with feedback loops to increase positive actions and give people feedback so they keep those actions going. I didn't say that in our group. I'm just adding it now. Thanks, everybody.
Very good. Thank you so much. So last group here, but not least, efficient and profitable buildings. It was Hari and Greg Chick. Who's summarizing?
All right, Greg, what I'll do is I'll start this off. I'll checklist a few points and then you see how you can wrap it up. We had with us a lovely lady who's been working to try and see. She's got a building in Geneva, which is 24,000 square meters, or 250,000 square feet, that is. And she sold the idea by selling a pilot speaker. So let me start again. We told ourselves, let's not talk about efficiency of buildings. Let's not talk about solutions. Let's see how we sell these ideas to our clients. So that was the, the essence of our discussion today. We had Donald with us, and Donald says that he is heading global sales for a company called Ipana. You can check that out. They have sold in 6 years to 800 sites and in 4 countries. Totalcostofwater.com is the website. And he says, when they went about this business of digitizing water for these projects of multi-tenanted buildings, with an average of about 20 to 22% efficiency in the use of water, all they did was they found one executive leader in that company who bought into the idea. And so if we want to sell sustainability, says Donald, said the others in the group, we need to see how we can show them the numbers, make a pilot, and find that one guy with who you will get a buy-in. The rest is easy, payback, the execution of it, and all that is process. Is one consensus that we arrived at. The other was that, Greg came up as usual with the usual panache for such communication. He was saying something about how there is the idea of real estate at the water meter. He says, if I've got, let's say, 10 square meters there, the kind of profound impact it can make on the building is something that he tells as a story to some of those people who want to buy into the idea. He had another very interesting, shall we say, insight that all of you would want to practice somewhere or the other. He says, for instance, Dave, you're trying to see how you could breach some of these barriers in government agencies and so on. What Greg is saying is this: packaging and perception are the flip side of the same coin. The two sides of the same coin. He says what it is in actuality and why and what it looks like to the other guy is something that we need to see how we can sort of match or dovetail things into. One more point before I give it to Greg. We had this amazing lady, Dr. Christine, she's here from Nairobi, from Kenya. And she says she's been selling the idea of green infrastructure or water infrastructure on only two counts. First, she says she goes and hits what is the low-hanging fruit, which is non-revenue water, 40% of it being leakages. And she says that this is an idea the government is buying into. She represents finance, a very interesting person. The other is that she says that she talks about those water towers, the figurative water towers of their forests, and takes the story back to the government and says, hey, if we are not going to protect those forests or the headwaters of those source rivers for Nairobi doesn't have a source of water in itself because it's at 6,000 feet above sea level. She says this is another idea that they've been able to successfully sell to the government. I'll stop here. She also mentioned this, since we're talking about peace and water in this session. She says that one of the efforts that she is making and the government is making there in Kenya is to see how seawater does not bring conflict. Interesting one. I'm not going to say more because she can speak for 1 hour, and I'm sure a lot of you will want to listen to her another time. Greg, over to you.
Well, thank you, Hari. You stole my line and you covered it well, so thank you. But to summary, we need to package the low-hanging fruit, the two sides of that coin, and maybe the low-hanging fruit being a couple projects we can get it in. Once that data is established or that success is established, we can sell that with the product and the commercial market to the government market, the cities, and the cities can see that where water flows, commerce grows. That symbiotic relationship is a package, and that package is the action item that I think we came to that we need that action package delivered. And you can do it many ways, different technologies, educating the youth and all that. But the cities and the commerce and the packaging and the perception in that packaging.
And Greg had a very lovely line, and you will want to take this back with you. There is the product, there is education, and there is a place to go. Thank you.